Walk? Sure. Where to?
An outlander. What are you doing in this part of the city? Shouldn't you be, I don't know, somewhere else?
No, look at that. You came. Didn't think you would. So, what's your take on this contemporary sample of Chilean dancing? Well, that doesn't mean you can't have an opinion, does it? Anyway, how about a sip of wine? Grounds are on me. Huh. You're not from around here, are you? I knew that accent. Potatoes, garlic, radish. Yeah, that should be it. Come, take a... So...
Oh well.
Before we move on to more pleasant topics, there is one thing I need to get off my chest first. I heard of the, paper chase you had to go through to find me.
That's how it is. Life is what you make of it.
I know, he's pulled that stunt on others before. He speaks perfect Nail, by the way. That whole "I only stupid Chilean" thing is part of the act. In that sense, thanks for teaching him a lesson. It was overdue. But anyway, tell me, what brought you here? Just where exactly from Nerim are you from? I'm curious. That's why I asked. Yeah, I know what you mean. You know, this is precisely why I find it so interesting that so many people accuse us Chileans of being greedy or dishonorable. I mean, just take a look around. Are the other nations of the civilized world really so much better? We've got Nerim, which was recently split into 3 and devastated by 3 madmen. I don't need to tell you about that. Then there's Kira, with its fabled free thinking in universities. But every 2 weeks, there's a new attempt at revolution with at least 3 dozen corpses. And don't get me started on Arctwin to Arizale or this place. What I'm trying to say is, yes, there's poverty on the Blue Islands, on Chile, and yes, there are problems. But we are free. Neither Morala nor the Elder Council tell us what to do, and no matter how dire the circumstances you're born into, life is what you make of it. So it's basically the opposite of this excuse for a country.
Ah, yes, that is true. A good lad, that boy. I'm happy.
Anybody can become rich, famous, or, if they want to, live an eremite's life on the beach. As long as they can go through with it. Then sure, there are exceptions. But in my experience, those who never made it brought it on themselves. I know. That's why you're different from the rest of the people here. You know, I know what it means to have to fight for something. Unlike that snot DeLorean, I wasn't born with a bag of gold stuffed up my ass. But instead of wallowing in self-pity or listening to the priests talk about how everything gets better once you're dead, I took responsibility for my own fate. I have, and I'm only getting started. You should see them, all these losers who I grew up with. Yes, they were dealt a tough hand, but instead of grabbing fate at its throat, they just went through their lives with their heads bowed and nodding at everyone. I'll never understand how people can be that way. I'd say we make a cut here, shall we? It's late, and I should see how my crew is doing. It was a pleasure, Protector. Until next time.
You're a foreigner, aren't you? Couldn't have...
Yes?
An obvious
What?
Can I help you?
As I said, without samples, I just can't say, my sir. I am sorry.
I understand. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. I'm sorry I don't have better news.
I understand. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. I'm sorry I don't have better news.
There you are. Thank you for coming so quickly. Look for yourself. Yes? Rhodus Trevian. I still remember when he was first hired in the trading post. Similar to the way you were. Do you remember him? He led the caravan that was ambushed by those assassins. Rhodus was an urchin child from the Undercity. But unlike the others, he chose to fight his way out of his misery. Eventually, he made it into the Sickle. He was a disciplined, honest young man. Yet despite all his ambition, he never sought to surpass his path. He was a good person, always striving, yet with deep respect for tradition. There aren't many young people like that these days. I still remember when I granted him the Sickles badge, 4 winters ago. I know it was you that brought it back to the trading post. I think it would have meant a lot to him, knowing that it isn't rotting somewhere in the desert sands. Suffice it to say, there has been a disquieting development. Yes? We've found traces of poison in some of the corpses. Traces of Chilean poison. You say that so lightly. Here is a bargain. Have you ever heard of the green scarabaeus, the idol of Morala? That makes it one of the most valuable jewels in the civilized world. Well, as you might have figured, it was originally a Chilean who possessed it. Ralius Davul, to be precise, the founder of the Blue Island Coalition himself, and at that time, one of the richest men on Vin. Yes, I will spare you the details of how that came to be, but be assured that it was the result of hard and path-abiding work, something that is foreign to those dark-skinned cutthroats. However, the Blue Island Coalition contacted us about 6 moons ago, shortly after the Chilean Civil War was over. They want to buy the idol from us. It is, to be honest, almost an allegory for the way of living. But I suppose you also know that our country, Enderal, has seen better times. And, of course, all those unfortunate developments in the past years. And before you ask, it is not as if we have to fear for our existence. But there are certain expenses we simply have, as it is lovingly called. The sickle maintains it. And with the current economical situation, we might be forced to shut it down soon. We do our duty. That the sickle respects the righteous path is not of righteous path also means taking responsibility for society as a whole. Rhoda certainly helped me see the Undercity with... You are. It was foolish. But we thought a regular caravan would be less likely to draw attention. It was a mistake. I'm responsible for many good men and women that are now dead, including Rhodas. But be... You're right, but we have to be sure. Correct. We have to reconstruct the poison. According to the apothecarius, the thistles can be found in Golden Forest, and the stingers anywhere in the Powder Desert. Dawnflowers don't grow in Enderal, so you might have to try your luck with one of the traveling merchants in Duneville. Here, this should come. Then leave as soon as you can. Here's a list of the ingredients. This should be self-evident, but still, not a single word to the Chileans, understood? Rash accusations without any evidence to back it up could prove, disastrous. Good luck, Protector.
Yes?
Hmm?
Hello.
Can I help?
My sir,
Noble
I just
citizens
don't respect
of Art,
the others
lick
anymore.
your lips in untamed desire as the ambrosial smells.
In no bed, sir.
Malfash's blessings. That pretty boy, you mean? Aye. He was here yesterday, all night long, with some noblewoman. Haven't seen him since, though. He looked a little battered, if you ask me. You know him well? I see. You know what? If you're looking for him anyway, could you give him this once you find him? A courier brought it along a few hours ago. Aye. A young woman, apparently. Maybe one of his beloved, who knows. Seemed urgent, though. Anyway, I need to get back to work. I'll tell the guy... We're looking. If he comes back.
In no bed, sir. In no bed, sir.
Monsieur?
Greetings.
I, Captain Yanu Orai, hereby confess my sins. For decades, I imprisoned men and women from all continents of Vin, and sold and children have me to thank for a life spent in slavery. I don't remember their names. Now, however, the time of punishment has finally come, and I thank the Bone Judge who will carry out my judgment. Crucified, I shall be hoisted over a pool of acid whose caustic fumes will
Sir?
Yeah, it's not as if I didn't tell them that already.
Sir? Yes?
This holy city.
Hello.
I, Ilaria Nettlegrass, hereby confess my sins. For years I murdered under the moniker of the Black Widow. Man or woman, young or old, it didn't matter as long as the pay was right. Never was I brought to... Now, however, the time of punishment has finally come, and I thank the Bone Judge who will carry out my judgment. I shall remain in this cage until I die of starvation. Food and drink shall be within sight, but never within reach. Nobody will come to my aid, and I will die in solitude, as I should. Ilaria Nettlegrass, hired killer.
I, Boreal Oakenvale, hereby confess me sins. For decades, I abducted children from the Undercity and locked them in this basement. I defiled them, let them starve, and then sold them to the highest bidders, who, like me, were also driven by carnal sins and perverse desires. Now, however, the time of punishment has finally come, and I thank the Bone Judge who will carry out my judgment. In shackles, I will watch as a pack of rats eats the flesh from my bones. Nobody will hear me screams, just like there was no one to hear those other poor souls
confess my sins. For decades, I imprisoned men and women from all continents of Vin and sold them to the highest bidders. 462 men, 561 women, and 210 children have me to thank for a life spent in slavery. I don't remember their names. Now, however, the time of punishment has finally come, and I thank the Bone Judge, who Captain
I, Ilaria Nettlegrass, hereby confess my sins. For years I murdered under the moniker of the Black Widow. Man or woman, young or old, it didn't matter as long as the pay was right. Never was I brought to justice for my crimes, for I always knew how to outwit the law. I am a despicable creature, without mind or compassion, no better than a rabid animal. Now, however, the time of punishment has finally come, and I thank the Bone Judge who will carry out my judgment. I shall remain in this cage until I die of starvation. Food and drink shall be within sight, but never within reach. Nobody will come.
I, Boreal Oakenvale, hereby confess me sins. For decades, I abducted children from the Undercity and locked them in this basement. I defiled them, let them starve, and then sold them to the highest bidders, who, like me, were also driven by carnal sins and perverse desires. Now, however, the time of punishment has finally come, and I thank the Bone Judge who will carry out my judgment. In shackles, I will watch as a pack of rats eats the flesh from my bones. Nobody will hear me screams, just like there was no one to hear those other poor souls whose lives are destroyed. Signed, Boreal Oakenvale, child trafficker and murderer.
I, Captain Yanu Orai, hereby confess my sins. For decades, I imprisoned men and women from all continents of Vin and sold them to the highest bidders. 462 men, 561 women, and 210 children have me to thank for a life spent in slavery. I don't remember their names. Now, however, the time of punishment has finally come, and I thank the Bone Judge who will carry out my judgment. Crucified, I shall be hoisted over a pool of acid.
I, Ilaria Nettlegrass, hereby confess my sins. For years I murdered under the moniker of the Black Widow. Man or woman, young or old, it didn't matter as long as the pay was right. Never was I brought to justice for my crimes, for
I, Boreal Oakenvale, hereby confess me sins. For decades, I abducted children from the Undercity and locked them in this basement. I defiled them, let them starve, and then sold them to the highest bidders, who, like me, we're also driven by carnal sins and perverse desires. Now, however, the time of punishment has finally come, and I thank the Bone Judge who will carry out my judgment. In shackles, I will watch as a pack of rats eats the flesh from my bones. Nobody...
Друзья мои, здравствуйте! Вы на канале.
my words, O path-abiding people of this holy city. Rumors circulate, rumors about the horrible events of the past moons. They speak of
But that's how it is. Life is what you make of it.
Driving them to deeds of pathless atrocity.
Oh shit. I have to remember.
Fruits, vegetables, bread fresh from the oven. Treat
Do not be
yourself.
afraid. Only the weak of pathless spirits are prone to the workings of this.
Monsieur? Yes?
You? Why are you here? What, so the Archmagister really believes we Delverics owned one of those stones? I would have known that. Believe me, I've snuck inside our manor's treasure chamber more than once, and there was no black stone whatsoever. Not in the least, no. Setting aside the fact that what you're describing is bloody spooky, I don't have the slightest idea who might have an interest in sending me on this morbid paper chase through Ark. Either whoever did this has mistaken me for someone else, or we're dealing with a seriously disturbed individual. Yeah, I already suspected as much. But still, it doesn't change the fact that I have no idea who might be behind this, and why he sent me this package and not, for example, the Ark Guard. No, none. All of them. They make a sentence. Knock, knock, who's there? Come in alone, if only you dare. But... No, that doesn't make sense. Yes, but... No, that just doesn't make sense. Adil is an apothecarian, not a goddamn assassin. You said one of the corpses you found was a hired killer. How in blazes could my sister kill someone like that? And... Why? Gave her the power to do this. Adila wouldn't hurt a fly. Come on, I'll prove it to you. Meet me in Duneville. I'll take you to our hideout.
Can I help you?
Monsieur?
We always good.
Keep your
Ahoy,
fingers
friend.
to yourself, Louise. This isn't off.
Dawnflower extract? Yes, I do indeed. It's a rarity these days, however. 110 pennies a vial. No negotiation. Perfect. A pleasure to do business with you.
Wait, you're the one who sold them.
Uh-huh. No, I just put them out for you to look at. Tell me what you need, and be quick about it.
old manor's in the desert, a few miles to the northwest from Duneville. It's quite a march, but doable.
War, after all these centuries. That's just plain crazy.
This'll be fun. Nothing left but rubble. By the wise hermit, how long has it been since I was last here? Come on, we're almost there.